Hi everybody, this is Roll for Crit at Gen Con 2015. I'm Jonathan Estes.
And I'm Will Keeler. Now, we got to visit Fantasy Flight's booth today and play a lot of their games.
You'll notice this is our second Fantasy Flight video because that's how many games they had.
Oh yeah. But today we got to play a lot of their new stuff that's coming out. So a lot of remakes, but some new stuff as well. We might as well start off with Samurai.
Might as well.
In this game, you are pretty much each playing as groups of samurai, gaining control of either a religion, military, or agriculture, represented by towers, Buddhas, and wheat, little statues along the map of Japan.
Okay.
In order to score them, everyone's going to be placing little tiles that have pictures of either the wheat, the Buddha, tower, or samurai and boats around the towers. Once the land around those black pieces that I mentioned before, once they get surrounded, they are scored whoever has the most points value of things around them. These samurai and boats are wild, which is really useful in placing them like in between if there's two tiles because they affect both. This game was a lot of fun. It's really simple. And unfortunately, it's one of those games where it becomes simple to get that. I was playing with Neil and one other guy. We were all just.
Is it
Because you cannot plan ahead. Like as soon as you'll be like, I did this. Someone's like, okay, I play red 3 next to it, and you're like, oh.
Well, I was going to ask is there any open information on your tiles? Do you have a hand of
No.
tiles?
Oh, you have a whole bunch of tiles face down. You have a little board that blocks it with 5 tiles face up to you, and only you.
Okay.
Though you also know that everyone has the same distribution of tiles, so you know if someone uses this tile, they don't have any.
Okay.
And the same things with the scoring. Once you score them, you put them behind that counter. So unless you're, I don't know, a computer maniac who's able to keep track of all hidden information,
Rain Man.
You may forget to keep track of what your opponent's going for.
Right. Yeah. I like that. That's good.
Here's the interesting part, though. The way the scoring works at the very end is everyone reveals what they've captured.
Okay.
And there's 3 little pog things. Whoever has the most of the statues of the towers gets the tower one. Buddha gets the Buddha one. Wheat gets the wheat one. If there's any ties, it flips over. No one gets it. So odds are, a lot of times it seems to end in which only one person gets one thing, so they win by 1 point.
Okay. So
But if there's a tie, so like 2 people got 1,
right?
It's whoever has the most of the other items. So if you went all towers, but someone else got all Buddhas, but had more like wheat and other things, you'll still lose, even if you had.
So it sounds like the kind of game that up until the very end, you might not really know who's winning or who's losing, even if you think you did.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah, I like that. It sounds cool. And that's.
There's also a lot of really easy backstabbing.
Oh, wasn't it just stabbing?
Well, I mean, in particular, because what will happen is you'll play all these things around a place thinking that you have it locked in, like no one. Then they'll place a boat, which is like a quick action. There's certain ones you can play in addition to 1 tile. Like by the sea, and then play another one, which we both did to Neil, stealing the item from him before he can get it.
Right, because you can kind of probably see what people are going for, and yeah, you can mess with them.
And certain tiles actually have multiple of those black statues inside of them. And one of the really great ones is there's a switch tile. When you play it, you can take a black tile and switch it with another one. So if someone's building all religion around a place, you switch it like, oh, that's a tower now. You have no influence there.
Okay, so there's some kind of like gotcha abilities.
Yeah, there's a lot of great trickery. But like I said, what was great though is very simple. Like, if you took I watched the game, I got most of it from that. Like the only thing I didn't get was how the winning really worked.
Cool.
Like if I took it down right now in front of you, even without instruction booklet, you probably could guess it. Oh, and it goes from 2 to 4.
Okay.
And it's very simple. There's pretty much either you have the central part of Japan. If there's a 3rd player, you add the big part of the island at the top of Kaido. And if there's a 4th, you add the little island at the bottom. So it's simple map expands. And everything cleans up very nicely. So
it sounds like it makes sense as their Euro Classics thing.
Yes.
It sounds like it fits perfectly in that vein.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to play.
But, next game, moving right along. Yeah, another remake of an older game. This one is Runebound, which people have been wanting to come back for a while. This, if you haven't played Runebound, which we hadn't, the same universe that you've seen in games like Descent. So a lot of the kind of locations and
like
style
Rune War, I think is the other one.
Rune Wars, might be familiar to you. This is a competitive game where basically it's a fantasy world. You're running around on a map, and there's different scenarios. But in our game, there was a dragon heading towards a city, and the dragon moved closer and closer, and when he reaches the city, the game ends, and whoever is the first person to kill the dragon wins, but the dragon is really powerful. And basically you're going around, you have each person has their own special abilities, and you can go to little tokens, which are quests, and you draw a card, and you can complete that quest, and you can buy upgrades and items and that kind of thing to RPG style to equip your character. What's one of the things that's really unique and what's very different about this game from the previous versions is the way that combat works, which is tile-based. I think you maybe saw some of this, where you take some round tiles in your hand, depending on your character, or if players play as the enemies as well, if you're fighting an enemy.
Right.
You roll the tiles like dice. Okay. So they're two-sided, they're double-sided, but you roll them, and you... Technical difficulties. You like that, you roll them over.
He doesn't want to stand. He's getting bored already from us.
He's tired. And whatever they land on, that's what you get. So it could be just an attack power, it could be an ability like making one of your opponent reflip one of their tiles, and you go back and forth choosing your actions. And it can be really fun trying to figure out like which thing your opponent is going to use next. Are they going to attack? Or they have a shield? But then there's also surges, like in Descent, which give you extra abilities, so they might use that to do something. So that's a really cool aspect of it. And beyond that, it just seems like a cool, like, you know, it's a good fantasy dungeon-ish.
Was there any way to score? Or is it literally whoever got the dragon first?
Yeah, it's whoever kills. I'm pretty sure it's whoever kills the dragon first. That was a little weird because unlike most demos, they actually had this game running the entire day, literally the same game, and they would just switch people in and out.
Oh, so you mean you continue someone else's story?
At about the very end of the game, or where it should have been. I actually got eaten by the dragon as my final turn. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's...
So you just come in like, okay, I'm coming in to play. All right, the person in front of you was in a complete idiot, lost all your items, and now you're naked.
Actually, my guy was great. I had a horse, so my movement was really good. So it was cool.
My God.
But yeah, that one was really fun. Fan of Descent and things like that. You'll probably like this one.
Right.
Give me another one.
Another one I got into was Mission Red Planet. In this, you are mining companies trying to get minerals on Mars, Red Planet. In order to do so, you have to send people to Mars in order to gain the points.
Okay.
The way this is going to work is there are ships laid out, docked in a station, and they say where they're going. Some of them actually have a question mark in which first person there gets to choose where they're going.
Different parts of Mars.
Yes, there's this map of Mars, including the moon.
Okay.
And you all have cards labeled from 9 to 1 with different abilities and players, like one's a soldier, one's an explorer, one's a saboteur. They'll have different abilities. You're going to read them, choose one to play face down, and once everyone's done that, the first player goes 9, 8, 7, 6, and if you're that number, you reveal your character. And they all have unique abilities, such as the Secret Spy, who would add 2 astronauts onto different ships that are staged, then launched one even if it's not full, because each ship has a certain number of, like, once it hits like 3 people, it launches automatically.
Okay.
Or the Saboteur, which is add one to a ship that's docked, then blow up another ship that is docked.
So what happens once everyone's played their things? Are there more actions that you can do?
After everyone's gone 3, 2, 1.
Right.
All the ships that have launched make it to Mars. You put your guys wherever they're supposed to be. There's a tile in each area, face down, and you flip it over when someone's there to actually see it. And it's either ice and 2 other ones, which I can't remember.
But presumably mineral-ish mining things.
The ice gives 1 point, one gives 2 points, one gives 3 points of victory points. And once you do this for 3 rounds, you add 1 victory point of that number to that area. And then you do another few rounds, then you add 2 points of that victory point. So if you're in an ice area, the first one you'd add only 1 1-pointer. Then you'd add 2 1-pointers. Then there's another one, then finally you add 3 1-pointers. And whenever you add those, whoever has the most people there gets it. If there's a tie, you have to split it. If you can't split it, no one gets it. It stays there.
Okay.
So it's a fun territory control game, and it's definitely very silly, like I said, with the Saboteur and stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like I was excited just from the theme.
But what also happens, there are an event deck.
Okay.
Everyone starts with their own mission to get more
juicy.
points. And the event deck has either missions or events in them. My mission, for example, my private mission, was that there were 4 areas of the map I needed to control.
Okay.
And for each area had a guy in, I would get either 1, 2, 4, or 7 points.
Okay.
There are also events in which they'll say, like, in this general area of Mars, like, and these events could be good or bad.
And those affect everybody.
Yes. For example, one guy was banking on getting a lot of points in this area. There's actually a card that lets you see these hidden events, or if you draw them, you're the only one to see them. But I looked at it, and it was all chip points that are removed before they're collected. No one gets anything there. So he's like, he got all his guys there, he's ready, and then poof, all gone.
Okay, that sounds
So
good.
there's a whole crazy chaos of like hidden information, not just collecting points for the sake of those chips, but like doing the missions. Because even though I got 1 chip, I got one chip. I was terrible at like stalking my guys in the area.
Yeah.
Because I did my mission so well, I was tied for second among our people, and the person ahead of me only had 1 point more.
Wow. Okay, so there's potential for different routes and strategies to take.
So it's definitely a lot of fun, a lot of janky silliness.
I like the idea of the sci-fi game that isn't just, you're not shooting each other. It's more you're.
Oh no, you're still shooting each other.
Oh, you are?
No, there are
I
cards
hate
like
it.
the soldier, in which you kill someone and move guys from the moon.
Are you all from Earth, or
Yes, you're all from Earth going to.
Why are you shooting each other?
Because you're rival mining companies.
Good point.
There's the what do you call it? Like a lady who backstab like.
A lady who backstabs.
No, well, I forget the
Femme
specific.
fatale.
Yeah, the femme fatale. Thank you. Who actually replaces another unit with your own. So it's like there's a whole bunch of.
Okay.
I mean, the saboteur blows up.
So you're miners with attitude problems.
Yes, but it definitely is a bit more steampunky. It's not as much like I think it's because what you're used to. Many times when we see the sci-fi games now, they're dark and like aliens attacking this summer.
It's a little
Action
more
exploded.
like maybe like 50s like Jetsons kind of.
Definitely more closer to that with the steampunkish sort of bronze kind of style.
Got it.
And it's more, actually, it's more Munchkin-y, I would say.
Huh.
I would say it plays like Munchkin.
Interesting. Sorry, there's a stampede going on. Shut up! We're trying to talk about Fantasy Flight.
I forgot to mention,
Yeah.
it is highly suggested that should a rocket launch off, for whatever reason, that you provide sound effects. So you go, "Rrrr!" That's all. They're just playing the game.
All right, real quick, there's one more big one that happened in Fantasy Flight that we got to play. They just announced Warhammer, the adventure card game, or it's Warhammer Quest adventure card game. So obviously based off the Warhammer series.
Which they have plenty of other things in.
Right, only not a miniatures or what have you. This is a cooperative card game. Everybody has their own character straight out of the Warhammer fantasy universe, and you're working together to try and delve into dungeons, explore dungeons, and fight enemies, things like that. I think if you it even has the same subtitle as Pathfinder adventure card game. We haven't tried that, but from what I've seen, it seems, at least on the surface, fairly similar. What I really liked about this game was it did a great job, I felt, simulating the feel of an RPG. So the way it works, everybody has 4 of the same actions, and you have 4 cards representing them, and once you do one, you exhaust it, and you can't do it again until something lets you unexhaust it. So you have attack, explore, aid, and rest to heal. And aid is like your supports. You give someone else a boost on their next turn. Or with attack, like there might be an enemy in front of someone else, you could draw that enemy to you and fight it if you don't want them to take any more damage, for instance, that turn. So it really simulates well like being not even just a role-playing game, but I felt like a video game style RPG where like an MMO or something.
Like you were the tank pulling enemies.
Or Monster Hunter or anything. Yeah, exactly. One player, one of my character was clearly the tank, and it was like, there's also range.
Now, is this 100% cooperative?
100% cooperative. There's no this guy gets more points or anything like that.
Right.
Totally cooperative. So you really want to work with each other and help each other out.
Do we know anything about when these games, speaking of which, I should mention, though, 2 games I mentioned are both slated fall.
I'm pretty sure the guy was pretty we don't know, but hopefully by the end of the year.
Right.
But maybe next year, I think.
Also, the Mission Red Planet was actually selling there. It sold out very fast.
Yeah, everything.
I don't know about year 2.
I think Samurai, was that available too?
No,
Maybe
that was not.
So
he said that's definitely fall.
Yeah, mine too. No, are not out yet. So Lots of cool stuff from Fantasy Flight, but we're going to have to wait a while before you actually get your hands on it, or even us, to really dig into it. You can check out a lot of pictures of it. Hope you'll check it out. And more Gen Con coverage on our website, which is rollforcrit.com/GenCon15. Till next time, I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Mo Keeler, and this has been Roll for Crit at Gen Con 2015.